So I'm joined here today with Ben Bouldin, who is the chair of CLIA for the UK and Ireland, and Andy Harmer, the managing director of CLIA for the UK and Ireland as well. Good morning to you both.
Morning. Good morning. Morning.
Glad to have you to chat to me today, just ahead of CLIA's Cruise Week. If you just want to chat a bit more about that, what can we expect to see then this week going forward?
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for the cruise industry to come together for a dedicated week of promotion and conversations about cruise. Now, obviously, cruise lines, CLIA, travel agents talk about cruise all the time, but what it allows us to do is kind of have a focused week when we can really talk about a couple of things. Firstly, the opportunities for customers to take a ultimate holiday because the breadth of product is incredible, lots of new ships coming, lots of new destination experiences, etc. So cruise as a holiday choice is clearly front of mind for some of the customers. And there's a huge opportunity there for customers to try cruise for the first time. And we know that once people have tried a cruise, they will cruise again, and we have them for life. So because of the great work that's done by the cruise lines. And I think the second conversation is to our travel agent partners, which is to realise some of those opportunities that the cruise industry offers. So again, 16 new ocean ships this year, 12 new river ships, lots of great ships already in the water, some great holiday options for them to sell to their customers. So really it's about those two different messages delivered via social media, our website, through webinars, through events, etc., etc.
Ben, obviously you've been in your role now for over a year. How have you seen the industry change, and how has it moved, beyond COVID now, going into this new wave of cruising? How has it been for yourself in that role and then the industry as well?
Well, I took over the role from Tony Roberts. It was a princess at the time, and I agreed to do that because Tony assured me that we were through the worst of it. So, at the time, I think, things were improving significantly, and I think 22 has been so much better than 21, but we all agreed that 21 was significantly better than 2020. I think all cruise lines now have pretty much got their entire fleets back up and running and fully operational. And I think they pretty much all achieved that by the end of quarter two, certainly early quarter three. So I think all cruise lines are now gearing up very optimistically for a very positive 2023, and I think I'd extend the same sentiment to the river cruise sector as well. I think they're in exactly the same position. The CLIA Selling Cruise Week is just a perfect opportunity for us to reaffirm there's a cruise for everyone, whether that's a river cruise, whether that's an ocean cruise. It's less about the cruise lines individually next week, it's about the industry and the fact that there's a cruise for everyone. And as Andy said, so many great products. The pipeline of new ships didn't stop through the pandemic. Everybody stuck more or less to what they want. Yeah, there's been a little bit of movement, but we've still got a really exciting array of new ships. And if you think about the feat of 26 new ships across river and ocean coming to fruition in 2022, I mean, that's fairly remarkable when you think of that feat. So I think every cruise line and the sector as a whole is really excited about next year. So I certainly am looking forward to more face-to-face engagement with agents through our forums and our cruise conference next May. And I think everybody just wants to get back to doing what we do best. And hopefully the world around us is not too chaotic and we can navigate our path forward successfully.
Of course, cruising has had that tighter grip with COVID. We've seen it. They've had to be with regulations and how much people rely on that. I've just come back from NCL. I was on Norwegian Prima there last week, and it was really nice to see COVID. The protocols were still in place. Really, they were very, very hard on your hand washing, but it was well incorporated into your cruise. It didn't ruin your experience in any way. Is this the future of cruising? Is this what we should expect now going forward? And is this how agents should be selling cruising to the public?
Well, I think the first thing I'd say is that cruise has always put public health at the heart of its operation. We've been operating for 50 years. We've dealt with other issues around the world and other natural, changes and so on and so forth. So I don't think it's unusual for us to have dealt with the pandemic in a way that really sets the bar very high. And actually our protocols went much further than any other setting in hospitality or in travel. And actually the whole industry came together over the last couple of years to work through those protocols and what would work and what would be effective. And I think, as you say, customers have come back from their holidays that they've taken on a ship since 2020, telling us how safe they felt, how great the protocols were, and actually that they would repeat. And actually our repeat business is around 90%, even from people who have cruised in the last 6 months. So I think people understand that cruise goes further, that cruise does these things well, because it's in our DNA. It's what we've always done. And, you know, some of those protocols will stay in place. I think it will depend on where we are in the wave of the virus, where we are in the world, what the different regulatory situations are in different countries. But actually that's one of the joys of cruising, is that the cruise line does that hard work. It goes above and beyond by working with the local health authorities and with guests, of course, to offer them a cruise experience that's bar none. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me that you've come back telling us how great some of those protocols were on board.
And then just touching on, you know, agent feedback, supplier feedback, has there been a movement in how the public are sailing now? Is there a change in pattern in how they want to cruise? Is it longer, shorter, etc.?
I mean, I'll have a stab at that. I mean, certainly I think as the protocols have wound back, I mean, across Europe now, I think really it's largely Greece that we're waiting for. That's probably the most stringent set of rules left, I think, within Europe. But as the rules have wound back, I think we've seen a surge in demand, particularly as we've made it possible for cruisers who are unvaccinated to sail again, albeit with testing still. But I think the openness of the industry to welcome vaccinated and non-vaccinated now has certainly seen a surge in demand. I think in terms of consumer sailing patterns, I think it'll be interesting to see. Typically during the pandemic, a lot of the cruises were a bit shorter. And I think cruise lines now, when you look at the 2023 deployment, what I see is very much deployment that's very much akin to what we had in 19. We're getting back to the places and the destinations that we know our guests love to go. We're getting back to the cruise lengths that we know our guests felt comfortable with. And certainly I think most cruise lines have got a good blend of both shorter and longer sailings. Again, offering the guest whatever it is that they want to have. I think there's genuinely a cruise for everyone, and that's the same in terms of cruise length.
And then just to finish up, what do you think that we can expect coming into next year, 5 years, 10 years? Where is the cruise industry moving to? What can we expect?
Well, I'll take the 23, Andy, because I think I said that 22 was going to be the biggest year ever, and then it wasn't, or I think I said 21 was. 23, on paper, should be bigger than 2019. The number of ships, both river sector and ocean sector, that we have is far greater. And I think everybody is optimistically planning for that. As for how that growth continues beyond that, I think lots will depend on kind of obviously how successful we are in 23. But the outlook, I think, is very positive. We want to get back to, from a UK and an island marketplace, we want to get back to in excess of 2 million cruises next year, which is broadly where we were in 19. And I think then we can start to grow beyond that.
Yeah, and I think longer term, I think we've seen over the last few years that continuation of investment and innovation from the cruise industry. And actually, I think the innovation that comes out of cruise sets the bar for the rest of the travel industry. And I think travel agents should take a great encouragement from the fact that, you know, the shipyards are still building ships and are still really busy, and they'll continue to do that. I think we'll continue to see that focus on sustainable cruising. So whether that's alternative fuels or whether that's some of the other changes that are made on board in order to reduce our footprint. So I think we'll see that focus. But I think travel agents can be assured that there is really genuinely a cruise for everyone. And I know that's something we say a lot, but actually if you look at some of the new ships that are coming, some of the new destinations, some of the new experiences, some of the new ships are offering, and some of the older fleet as well, I think genuinely travel agents can be really excited about the opportunities for cruise growth continuing over the next few years.
Well, thank you both for joining me today. I know you're very busy, especially with the coming up week, so thank you very much for taking your time to speak to me today.
Perhaps you could mention the hashtag, Andy, for all...
Oh, yes. Tell you, I should take marketing to a bit. So, yes, so the hashtags are Love Cruise and hashtag CLIA Cruise Week. So, And actually, travel agents who post using those hashtags, there's lots of cruises we're giving away next week, lots of competitions and things like that. So we'll be announcing details sort of each day as we go into cruise week. So yeah, it'd be good to see lots of posts from our colleagues and friends in Northern Ireland too.
Yeah, just encourage them to get involved. Whether it's their personal cruise stories, whether it's cruise stories of some of their guests, some of their customers, or whether it's just aspirations, great shots. However, we just want to make sure that we kind of really have a cruise takeover.
Yeah, and our website has lots of details. There's a Cruise Week page on there. So if they just go to cruising.org, there's a thing there they can click on to get involved. So lots of information for